Ah, there you are. Thought I might find you up here. Yes, I suppose I was looking for you. Well, you gave me the perfect little excuse to leave Stark's merry gathering. Yes. Do you mind if I sit? I had a feeling you would have slunk off to the rooftop, though you're not quite that good at sneaking off without anyone noticing. Yes, people did notice that you left, hence you giving me an excuse to leave, as I gallantly volunteered to come and look for you, to see if you were all right. Which, well, you don't seem to be. Well, it's not nothing, otherwise you wouldn't have ran off, but I'm not going to press you. If you really don't want to talk about it, whatever is bothering you or on your mind, whether, who knows. Perhaps you're just not cut out for these sort of parties, which, you know, a lot of people aren't. Or, of course, maybe there's someone there that you're too nervous around. Is it me? You can say if it's me. Well, I'm listing things off to annoy you until you tell me what is actually wrong. Yes, I know what I said. I know I said I wasn't going to press you. Of course I actually do want to know. Honestly, my dear, it's like you're still surprised that I lie sometimes. But in this case, it was out of politeness. You wouldn't have actually wanted me to tell you, but regardless of how comfortable you feel, I would quite like to know. I'm not twisting. But I think you really do want to talk about it. I'm not saying that I'm the best at comforting. God knows that I'm not the most well versed in being on the receiving end, so I don't know what experiences I have to use to learn from, but, well, if there's anything I can do, it's listen. Well, and talk, yes, but how do you think I learn and have all of this information on people? You have to be able to be a good listener. To be the... I was almost going to say God of Liars then. No, it's not an apt title. God of Mischief, or, if you would, God of Stories, but lies. Everybody lies. But not everyone can do mischief. And don't think you can distract me. It's not nothing. Is it one of them? Well, I mean, whatever is upsetting you. Was it one of them? Because you know I wasn't going to suggest I do anything to anyone. Not anything deadly, anyway. Well, you know, there's an awful lot of fun to be had with turning people into snakes. Alright. But it was one of them, wasn't it? You acted terribly defensive. It wasn't intentionally one of them. Did they do anything to you, or are you assuming that they think something bad of you without actually any proof? Because of your own insecurities? That's a yes, isn't it? No, I wouldn't know that from any sort of first-hand experience. But come on, you know me better than the rest of them. Well, apart from Thor, you know, but... well, perhaps. This isn't about me, my traumas. What are you worried about them thinking of you? Are you worrying you're not good enough to be part of the team? No? Then what? You think they're not taking you seriously? Well, how come? Oh, I see. You don't mean not taking you seriously as a hero or as a fighter. You mean as a person. Well, that is quite an entirely different issue, isn't it? So, have I been making it worse, then? Well, you're worried about people comparing the two of us, or something. That it's easier for people to address me by the correct pronouns and whatnot, versus that they tend to, sometimes they slip up with you. Are you sure they're slipping up intentionally, or do you think it's an issue of... Right. Or you just meant everyone in the world, not just specifically the people that we know personally. I do understand, you know? Well, of course, yes, I can just, when I'm identifying as a woman, change my body and everyone genders me accordingly. But, you know, it wasn't always like that for me. And, darling, one's body does not indicate one's gender. You know this. I hope. I hope you're not knowing that for other people, but not applying it to yourself. Let's say that one day I didn't feel like a man, but I also didn't feel like a woman. What body should I have then? Well, exactly. There is no such thing as a non-binary body type, or at least there is no one singular type of non-binary body. And so, let's say I was identifying as you lot call it, non-binary. But I kept my normal birth body. I'm sure people would mistakenly address me with he, him pronouns. It's just a fact of life. And especially when, for genderfluid people like ourselves, people can't know what our pronouns are when they have changed until we tell them. I know it's hard to not be uncomfortable, but you have to learn to not be mad at them. I mean, if you correct them and they continue to be an arse and misgender you, then by all means send them my way, but... My point is, you aren't any less gender fluid or less worthy of calling yourself gender fluid than I, just because you can't shapeshift as I can. I have been gender fluid, as you mortals call it. On Asgard, we don't have specific labels for sexualities and genders like you all do on here, but I've been gender fluid, or identifying as gender fluid, since before I taught myself how to shapeshift. My dear, why do you think I wanted to learn how to shapeshift in the first place? Exactly. I knew that sometimes my body felt wrong. That it was meant to be something different, that I wouldn't be comfortable until it was. And then other days, I was fine with the body I had been born with. And so I sought a solution. And it was within my abilities to learn magic and to be able to shapeshift. Not everyone is able to use magic. That doesn't mean that people who aren't magic users aren't allowed to be gender fluid. Shapeshifting is a very helpful thing for gender fluid beings to be able to do, but you don't have to be able to shapeshift to be gender fluid. And what do they want from you? Do they want you to cut things off and stick them back on every other day? It's ridiculous. And do these same people demand that binary trans people instantly change their bodies? Because I can guarantee that some of them don't, and they're holding you to a different standard, just because they think that your gender identity is somehow more abnormal than binary trans people, or even non-binary people. My shapeshifting ability is not what makes me gender fluid. I know there are people that think that, and they're idiots. Not that they can help it, I mean, most people are idiots, but... I won't lie. Well, poor choice of words, but I'm not lying when I say it still bothers me sometimes, the way people talk. Just because different genders and sexualities are commonplace on Asgard does not mean that people are incredibly used to someone switching and changing their gender constantly. But I suppose I have been lucky. For all of my father's failings, and there are many, he continued to call me his daughter when I needed him to. Didn't even bat an eye. I am grateful for that. A lot of people would not have taken it so well. I know I'm in a fortunate position to have had that. But does not mean that everyone around me has always been accepting of it. Especially down here on Earth, you humans, my gods. I feel as though there is something wrong with me if I allow the words of a mortal to get under my skin. But I think we both know, myself especially, that words can be far sharper tools than any physical weapon. They can cut a hole a lot deeper, too. I did not mean to make this about myself. I was trying to show that I can relate, I suppose. I know it is hard to ignore what other people are saying. I've certainly had centuries more practice than you have had at trying to tune people out, as you might say. And you know, using magic is tiring. Our dear doctor does like to say that all magic has its price. His magic, of course, is not the same as mine, but it is tiring. And so sometimes I find myself trying to conserve energy. Perhaps we're in the middle of some battle, and I'm not identifying as male anymore, but I don't shapeshift. Does that make me have to be a man? Because I haven't changed my body. Sometimes I just don't want to. Sometimes I can't. There's been times, plenty of times, where people have put collars and cuffs and curses on me that dampen or completely render useless my powers. So therefore, am I always a man, then? It's ridiculous. People will continue to act hostile towards that which they do not understand. And we may wish that people would want to be understanding and not instantly assume that because they don't experience said thing that we must be lying attention seekers. I honestly don't know what goes in their heads. I can't really put myself in their shoes, but I don't know if it's fear or close-mindedness or whatever it is. I do not know if it helps to know that I will always see you as you are. That who you are is who you were always meant to be. That no matter if every single being in all of the 9 realms doesn't accept you for who you are, that I always will. I always shall. Does that help at all? I stand by what I said. Most people are idiots. They can't really help it if they just can't handle someone as magnificent as you. We are both just far too above their realm of understanding. You are... how do you lot say it? Valid? Yes? You're laughing. I suppose that's better than you being upset. You don't want to go back down there, do you? Now that you're feeling a little bit better. Oh, thank God, because I honestly had no intention of going back in there. I'm very willing to stay up here, enjoy the night sky until they're all asleep or passed out. What do you say? And if you wanted or were curious about any advice or tips, perhaps, in presenting as different genders, if you feel that that may help you feel more comfortable, don't do it for them. Don't change your appearance simply so that other people accept you more. Only change your appearance if it makes you feel better, if you like how you look. With different hair, or wearing makeup sometimes, or whatever. Do it for you. And if it is something that you truly want, I am willing to share the knowledge that I have acquired, for I am quite the benevolent god, I think you'll find. And a prince, yes. I would be happy to. Anyway, sure is late, isn't it? I can still hear their music all the way up here. I can make that sound go away if you'd like. What? No, I didn't mean I was going to destroy anything. I simply meant a quietening charm, a sort of bubble would be placed around us that no sound could enter. Oh, I see, you're teasing me. Perhaps I am used to people assuming the worst of me. Perhaps we can both work on our insecurities together. If you don't tell anyone that I just said that, that is. Well, then we have a deal, my dear. So, ask away. Thank you all so much for watching, my lovelies. A reminder that audio commissions are currently open, and I also have a Ko-fi and a Patreon. If everyone who followed me donated just £1 a month, that would help me out a lot. There are numerous different rewards on my Patreon, including access to my Discord server, your name read aloud in the credits, and exclusive Not Safe for Work audios that you patrons get to request. All of my socials, but especially my Discord, I try to make the most inclusive, safe space for all of you. And a thank you to my fledglings, Cry, Phoenix JN, Antichrist, Aviana Brent, Victor's divorce lawyer, Kim, Leviathan, and Donut Rebel. And a thank you to my familiars, TRO Voodoo Doll, Neuron Name, Julia, Abby Clayton, Maximum, Isabel, Enter S, Sleepy, Your Friend Blue, Cello Moon, Rio, Whipson, Dirice, Dandelion, and Saladuria.